Yes, well, the idea today is to put on my unbiased hat. Deal with the miming. I don't actually have my hats. I don't actually have any idea. I have no clue where they are. So my hair's not that messy, so I guess it's okay. I'm going to be putting on that unbiased hat and be looking at the tracking numbers, the box office predictions for Star Wars The Last Jedi. Wow. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker. I don't know why, but every other time I mention this film, I call it The Last Jedi. I think that's a testament to how badly they marketed this film before this last couple of weeks. In my opinion, because I've just been calling it The Last Jedi. Plus, it really does stick in your head for negative reasons. But I'm going to be trying to be fair with this. I don't want to come off, just by putting my negative spin on The Last Jedi and by saying, as some people are saying online now, that The Force Awakens... Why am I saying The Force Awakens? My mind is genuinely just frazzled with all this Star Wars shit. The Last Jedi. The blue one. There was yellow, there was red, now there's blue. The blue one. Some people are saying that it's gonna underperform at the box office, and the only way I see it underperforming is if it's actually as bad as The Last Jedi. If it's that bad a film, then Rise of Skywalker could make less than 1.5 billion. But other than that, I mean, it's gonna make more than that. It's more specifically the opening weekend numbers that people are having questions about, because it did look like it was going to be going upwards of 250 million. But now a lot of reports are saying that it's looking to be just over 200. And some people are calling over 200 million disappointing. It's a bit weird because $200 million opening weekend was not the norm until I don't know, 3 years ago, really? Norm is a big word as well. I wouldn't even say it's a norm now, but it's less of a smack in the face in the papers, $200 million opening weekend. When Endgame got $350 million, that was mad. That was out of the ordinary, for the times we live in now. So when you compare it to Endgame, I guess because Endgame is the end of that saga, that phase of the MCU, and this is the end of the Skywalker saga, I may be changing my mind here, actually. This is crazy. It's good. Like I said before, it's good to talk out loud because you really, massage and marinate in what you're saying, and then you actually come to a conclusive point there. But maybe, actually, some of these people are right. I was against it because I think that over 200 million is still a good opening weekend. It doesn't matter the budget. If the budget is 200 million and you get a $200 million opening weekend, you're pretty set. You're okay. You're not going to lose money on this film. As long as it doesn't just, top off and completely bomb from there. But when you compare it to Endgame, and I think it's a fair comparison to put it in Endgame. I think it's fair. I don't think or anyone is being, in that case, overcritical by comparing it to Endgame. Or even Infinity War. I think Infinity War had a $260 million opening. Maybe people are right. But to call 200 million a bomb or a flop is wrong. I think maybe, in retrospect, now looking at the numbers, maybe it is a slight disappointment. But I can't see Disney looking at a $220 million opening weekend and say that they are unhappy with the result. I do know that when Avengers Age of Ultron came out, which had $190 million opening, made... I don't know how much it made in the US, over $500 million, I think. Or more. More. And they were actually disappointed with 1.4 billion worldwide sales. Disney were disappointed with Avengers Age of Ultron making 1.4 billion. Which is why when The Force Awakens came out and it made so much money, I was like, that makes sense. It made over 2 billion. They're happy with that. And then when The Last Jedi came out and made 1.3 billion, they were like, we're good with this. It was so good. It sort of counters to the point they made with Age of Ultron, which made 1.4. It made over 100 million more. And, they're still qualifying The Last Jedi as a success, whereas they were saying that Age of Ultron was a disappointment. I don't really know how those things stack up. I don't think there's a Star Wars fatigue. I think people are saying that, and I don't think they're really looking into the fact that there are multiple Marvel films released a year, multiple DC films released a year on certain years, and there seems to be no problem with all those films making a good amount of money on the budget that they've been produced at. But apparently Star Wars with Solo had a huge problem, and Solo was a bomb. Solo flopped. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars on Solo. All right, it's not a joke. I'm not making shit up. It's true. They lost hundreds of millions of dollars on Solo. Really, really bad for them, honestly. I think that is what sort of kicked them up the butt a little bit to say, maybe we need to actually make a good film here. And I'm dubious as to whether they have. Maybe they have, maybe they haven't. We're going to find out in a couple of weeks. But on the point of box office, I think if the film ends up only grossing 160 opening weekend, I think the disappointment word can come out. And it's a bit low if they only gross 150 to 165 million opening weekend, I think. It's a bit low, honestly, for Star Wars. It's not doable. They shouldn't be grossing 165 million opening weekend. And if they do, it shows that people are really out of love with the franchise. People didn't like the marketing very much. And the marketing hasn't been great. It has got better, but it's still not good. And I think that a figure that low, comparatively to 210, 220, would show that. And I think at that point, you're probably looking at that 1.4, 1.5 billion total box office, which I don't think is good enough for them. I don't think they want that. I think they want over 2. They want to be able to cement Star Wars as a giant franchise in the same way that the Avengers has been cemented as a giant franchise. And unless they make over 2 billion and unless the film is good, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But that's just my opinion on it anyway. Pretty crazy. It's come round. It's a couple weeks away now. I suppose Jumanji's coming out. That could hurt it a little bit. Even though they're not opening on the same weekend now. Jumanji's opening, I think, a bit early. Jumanji's probably going to make a good amount of money. It could take some chunks out of it, you know? It did last time. It took chunks out of The Last Jedi. The fact that Jumanji made almost $1 billion, like 970 million... and The Last Jedi made like 1.3 billion, and they both came out in the same time span. There's no doubt Jumanji did huge damage to Star Wars. And I think that, I think it might be Sony who produces Jumanji. I'm not sure. I think it is Sony. I think they looked at this again, and they said it worked last time. It was an alternative to Star Wars, and people prefer Jumanji to Star Wars. So it's a good idea then putting it out again, even putting out earlier. They're going to get a huge opening weekend. They're going to do a lot of business. And hopefully, it's a good film as well. Hopefully, Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is a good film. And we can all love it, enjoy it. And JJ will have done a good job. The actors are all okay. And the story ends up being decent. But we can only hope and dream. Just to be clear, $200 million, I'll cement this, is not a bomb. It's not a flop. Maybe a tad disappointing if they're looking for 300 million, but it's no bomb. It's no bomb. But anyway, guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel down there. If you didn't, then Kylo himself will come after you, right? Kylo Ren, probably the most fleshed out character out of the new saga. I mean, I loved Poe in The Force Awakens, and then he just got absolutely decimated in The Last Jedi. So yeah, Kylo will come after you. Bit unstable, bit of a nut, got a lot going on. He's dealing with a lot of shit, but he might take down on you. You don't want that. You really don't, so just subscribe anyway to avoid that. Now, I've been NarendraTheComic. You've been great. I'll see you next time. That's tomorrow. If you do not know, I make a video every day. I will do until my body forces me to stop. Until I literally fall asleep on the couch uploading one night. And then I wake up in the morning and it's not uploaded, and I'll sit there and I'll be like, wow, that's 550 days down the shitter. It's happened before, and I've woken up just in time. I set my clock back a little bit more on my computer, and then I'm like, oh, I saved it. It's up in time, even though it's like 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning. I did it, lads. I did it. But yeah, a video every day. Sleep deprived, mentally deprived. Physically, I'm doing okay, actually. Physically, I'm doing okay. Could be worse. Could be worse. You know, hands are sort of better now. Still hurting a lot, but they're not as bad. So that's great. So do subscribe. I'm trying. You can't hate a try, alright? I'm trying very hard. See you tomorrow. Hopefully it'll be a wonderful day. See you tomorrow. Skadoosh.